Evening. It's the time of the day when the day comes to an end, when the sun sets, where the day's job is done, and everything goes back to rest. Lubega's passionate appreciation of sunset is evident in his style through the poem. He uses a series of metaphors to describe the prominent celestial presence of the sun in the universe. This series of highly idealistic metaphors is what gives the opening of the poem such force. He calls it God's work on earth. He says the sun has a universal funeral in the West. He says it's the recurrent grave of the day's mighty soul. For the poet to refer to the sun as God's work on earth shows God is an artist who has crafted not just the sun, but the universe itself in all its beauty and splendor. The sun is a work or creation of God, thus giving the poem a spiritual dimension. It gives the sun another worldly quality where we see God's hand as actively involved in creating it. The poet wants the reader to see how unique the sun is in that it did not just come to be, but was purposefully created by God and to occupy such an important position in creation. The second metaphor is universal. The word universal. Funeral creates the impression that the entire world stands at attention to observe the setting of the sun. It projects the importance of sunset as an occurrence observed by the entire world. When it says, never has the death of a poet been toiled by all the world. It also communicates fallenness felt by the world at sunset because the sun has not just gone down the horizon, it has ceased to be, creating the illusion that it has died. Calling the sun the day's mighty soul shows that the great regard that the poet has for the sun's rays, because the connotation made is that without the sun, the world is left soulless. That is, without life. He hails the sun as a giver of life. Both images, one of the entire earth holding a funeral for the sun setting, and the other of the sun as the soul of the day, are highly effective. They achieve the speaker's intention, which is to capture the magnitude of the phenomenon called sunset. This is simplified in the word. And then in gorgeous colors failing, trailing stars, life, death, water, and aridity bow to the morning day. The sun is both glorious in its rising and setting. Because of its majestic presence and the effect that it has on the whole universe, a parallel is drawn between the death of a poet and the death of the sun, or the setting of the sun. According to the speaker, the poet does not achieve the heights of fame upon his death on equal magnitude as does the daily setting of the sun in the western skies. By putting the death of a poet side by side with sunset, the speaker makes allusion to the fact that a poet is an important entity in society. He likens the greatness of the poet to that of the sun, but emphasizes the unsurpassable position of importance that the sun holds in the world. With the setting of the sun, death stares in the ticket, and the church bell rings for prayers. All other activities are rounded off and come to a standstill as night falls. There is some harshness or regret with the setting of the sun and the arrival of darkness. To contribute to the symbolic sounding of death, there is a distressful response by the humans. Some are prompted to hurry home, and we notice the negative reaction due to the passing of the sun. There is no joy in the air. Rather, we have gloomy images of busy women pressed for time to salvage what is left of the day's chores, growing impatient with their offending children, and drunks rush back to their homes as night approaches. Nuns and priests chant prayers, which marks the end of the day. In a literary sense, the sun is no longer with them, and the priests do what they habitually do to mark the close of the day. Lubega chooses these symbols, one of the nuns singing hymns and the other of the priests saying prayers, making it to appear as if death has occurred to bring out the symbols of the death of the sun and through the setting of the sun. Since death is commemorated by certain religious rites, the symbolic death of the sun is now commemorated by the rigors of the clergy. It is as if the priests now sing a requiem in a burial in keeping with religious rites or norms. The night comes with sounds produced by crickets and frogs to signal that the sun has set in the west. The poem is replete with imagery and symbols, and the symbolic use of image reaches its zenith in metaphor. It is that of the sun being referred to as God's work on earth, which bequeath the poem with an obviously religious undertone. Put aside the theme of prayers by the nuns and the priests and the allusion to the Son of God. It all ties up very well with the image of Christian rites at graveside. This wake is attended by all creatures on earth, and it is presided upon by human beings and animals alike, some incantating prayers, some singing elegies, and others just showing their poignancy in their wretchedness. The figurative language is strong, as the human world and animal world all stand at attention, epitomized by soldiers who form ranks like ants, in acknowledgement of the passing of the sun. Human beings compared to ants appear small and insignificant in comparison to the speediness on display. The display of the shining sun is so spectacular that never was a victory so trumpeted as of the sun climbing his fiery way. This alludes to the radiance of sunshine in the prime hours of the day, the only other thing as great as its setting in the west. The setting of the poem influences the choice of words of death in several ways. The west, where the sun set, is referred to as the recurrent grave of this mighty soul. The sun is the mighty soul that gives day life, and with its setting, the day is left soulless. The deeper allusion here is that the night is as death. This is the reason why the speaker says, with his passing, death stirs in the thicket. The night gets ready to visit its morbidity on the creatures, and it is lesser than the day in that it lacks the glories brought about by the sun. The setting of the sun symbolizes death, and its death is witnessed by all living things on the globe. Therefore, it is death more popular than that of a popular poet. Daylight symbolizes life, while night symbolizes death. That is why life, death, water, and aridity bow to the passing ray. This means that all the other elements are subdued by it, and it is the sun that dictates the well-being of all other entities. The poem is about the magnificence, grandeur, and splendor of the setting sun. It is also about the beauty of God's creation and the important position that the sun occupies in the planet. It also emphasizes that the sun is the soul of God's creation because it controls all other activities on earth.